Edo, Edo ni mo se. 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 Edo, Edo.
The Kingdom of Benin is the home of the Edo-speaking people. It is located in a tropical rainforest region of what is now Nigeria. The Oba is deified as a god on earth that governs his kingdom. The Edo people adorn themselves with an ornament called Ivie, popularly known as coral beads.
Coral beads, Ivie, as history tells us. Ewa Ogidigano Cow in the year 1440 AD brought the coral beads from the depth of the sea, which is believed in our mythology to be the land of the water spirits. Hence, this Ivie is Ebo. Ebo. What it means is it's a deity, and it has spiritual relevance to our existence. Since Ewaye in 1440 thereof brought Ivie from the depth of the sea, Utame, to us, and we have been using it as fashion apparel. We've been using it as spiritual materials. Hence, in the deification, we also worship certain rites concerning Ivie. Ivie on its own is a spirit. Hence, it is washed, it is cleaned. From that time of Oba Ewaye I, Ivie has been taken by the Benin people as a ritual material, a spiritual entity.
Well, the origin of coral beads is a little bit shrouded in controversy, I would say, because the recorded version of the origin of coral beads predates Oba Ewaye I. However, it is not known that coral beads are indigenous to the Benin people. The general belief is that it may have come from the Europeans. But from history, Europeans had not gotten to Benin as at the time of Oba Ewaye I. But there may have been European trade along the coast, because Benin has it in history that Oba Ewaye was the first to have set up the Palace Guild of Iwebo, which is in charge of the Oba's regalia and official paraphernalia. Therefore, Oba Ewaye was reputed to have gone to Oloku to acquire, some said to steal, coral beads from the domain of Oloku at Uwoton. Therefore, the later recorded European version that it may have had its origin in trade with Europeans, even when Europeans officially had not come to Benin. It is in that realm that it can be surmised that trade from Elmina to Fenadopo had touched the Benin coast at Uwoto, and Benin traders may have acquired that very highly priced article before the first European, that is Roy de Secura, was recorded to have visited Benin in 1472.
Ewari introduced coral beads to Benin. And if you know from the earlier statements I made of the origin, I said Oba Ewari expanded the empire down to the seas, and he founded trading posts in Sao Tome, founded trading posts in Principe, Sao Tome, and Fernando Po, and this was exchange of goods. The Europeans were coming to trade on the coast of Africa, and they brought what they had, and in return, Benin gave what they had. So let us assume that in return, the Oba received coral beads while he gave what he had, like our local, products, like elephant tusks, hides and skin, and the rest lot. So it is not wrong to say that Oba Ewari brought coral beads to Benin. It is not wrong to say that coral beads was brought by the Europeans because there was exchange of items of trade. If you say it was introduced by the Portuguese, Oba Ewari reigned before it got to the time of the Portuguese.
The coral beads are used during cultural festivals, wedding ceremonies, and burial rituals like the Isoto. The beads are of various varieties such as colors, shapes, and sizes. In this kingdom, the bead you wear tells your royal status.
Kele na hina kele muru mai kele na muyuru na hina ona na muyuru vi na ona na rube no ebe na edonya no na vi no fona eno jena erioje efi were no hay capital, no. No. Hago por nada. O bobina. O bobina hina no kwa. Vi no kokon, we no kwa. No kokon, ena hina. No. Oye katona bana kan awuru no ro na hin ona awo bo no ro awuru na o kele na hin amu eyuru aye gwa be e ma ni rie egi na mweta to no amu eyuru aye gwa amu eyuru ni zu gba pata amu eyuru lu we na o hin try Manike ti use marriage anything. Na mo gbe ne bana. Je won for won why yes. We do wa kin. Won amu yuru. If you bo wa dey we hen. We do gele na hin. Ivie ma wa na hin. E fi gweri ebe no je na. Oji. Ambage na uge ogivi. Omo una vegwa. Abi.
Okay, who give you Anna Jonah?
I will, but when I say, oh no, I will not cacabo alu. Una moboka cabolo. I moboka cabo.
Originally, coral beads was the exclusive reserve of the royal family. Because it was highly priced, it was not easily affordable by every Dick and Harry. But its significance can be traced to the fact that Benin has a very standard ceremony that is dedicated to the beads spirit, which is known in Benin cultural circle as Ivie. As far back as 1517, it was recorded that Pereira came on a ship that brought more than 58,000 pieces of coral beads, and this originally would be discharged to the exclusive custody of the royalty.
During wedding ceremonies, that is the Benin traditional wedding, the bride adorns her head with beads and wears some as necklace, while some other bride prefers the beaded sleeveless blouse. The groom are not left out in this bead adornment, as a long single bead necklace is placed on them, dropping down to their upper abdomen. Some groom prefers more.
Coral beads actually started way back in the time of the Ogisos, but they were not coral then. They were just decorative ornaments. Ayaha. And it started with Ivie or Obue and several animal parts like the bones and all that. They were used to make beads to be worn around the neck, around the hand, around the ankles, and sometimes worn as a crown on the head. And this was for the purpose of, adornment of the body, so that you can have more beauty to what you are wearing. But as time progresses, with the expansion of the empire, especially in the reign of Oba Ivie I, who made conquests and sojourned to other lands with his military campaigns and trading adventures, he reached the Atlantic Ocean, where we have the rift of corals, and coral beads were introduced into Benin properly. Now, in time past, we could have Emiru, na Ikpigo Yau. Ikpigo is also part of the sea corals. They come from, the seas, and they string them together and use them as decorative necklaces, bracelets, hand chains, and ankle chains and all that. But when Ivie now introduced coral beads, that's why in Benin they say, "Akenarina mi vie arige wai, oge wai no hunda igbe wai age obase." So these coral beads now became very predominant in Benin.
Once in a while, in a period, 3 years, 7 years, some 5 years, depending on the intuition of the Oba that is on throne to do it. It is called a period of washing and cleansing the beads to rejuvenate the spiritual powers of the beads. It is a common knowledge in Benin that you don't steal beads.
Gradually, the beads started being disposed at the very convenience of the Oba to some of his chiefs as reward for good performance. And eventually it started permeating the larger society for those who could afford it. From the very first beginning, it has remained a status thing to be able to acquire coral beads. Therefore, anybody that wants to show level of affluence will attempt to acquire some measure or quantity of coral beads as a display of being able to have that economic buoyancy, economic strength to acquire same.
Once the Oba makes a proclamation, it is carried out without any hesitation. There are no shortcuts. There are no exceptions. There is no exemption. It is our custom. And if we don't respect our custom traditions, it means we have generated to become animals. And I tell you, if you watch the internet recently, Facebook, and see people who have done their marriages, they are ukuku with white beads, and the white beads, they are beautiful. Beautiful. Some are even saying that if after the expiration of the time for the bead festival, they can be permitted to use white beads, it will be better. We must respect our tradition, because it is tradition that makes us human beings. Oba or Ivie han. Ari mi vie ne anabedo American. They are worn by Oba, the chiefs, the royal family, but later it became a ceremonial wear that brings out the nativity, the dignity in every Benin person. You know, the Benin's are very popular with beads, and they use beads for several purposes. For instance, there are beads worn around the forehead. That is called udeha. Udeha is not for the ordinary person. It's for royalty and nobility, which means the Oba and the chiefs. We have udigba, which is the neck beads. They are worn around the neck by the Oba and nobilities in ceremony. Then we have Ivie, which are worn around the wrists. We also have Ivie, which are also worn around the ankles. Then we have Ivie kun, Awagmohia Sivie Yobo, Emok Boluwa, or Sore Yekun. For special spiritual purposes, you can wear beads around the waist. But again, maidens who cannot use akpolo. Akpolo are also some kind of decorative materials used around the waist, especially for maidens. So if you cannot have akpolo, you use Ivie, and they are usually for decoration, just to bring out the beauty in you. And there are some too that are for religious worship. Emiegbe, used for Isango. Iviegbo, for use for certain spiritual purposes. And there are some beads too that are worn particularly by priests and some religious attendants. So beads are for various purposes.
The Oba's costume is elaborate and made up of beads from head to feet, and with an exception to his clothes. Every other thing he wears is either a red coral beads or ivory beads. The crown, Ede.
Yes, a crown is a more refined form of Ivie. A crown is costlier because a crown takes a longer process to prepare. Very well, you can use a crown, you can use Ivie, depending on your status. Some people wear suits, some wear just shirts and trousers. They wear tie. There are suits for 200,000. There are suits for 30,000. There are suits for 15,000. So it's the same. It's not restricted. There are forms of wearing beads that pertains only to royalty, like udeha. No ordinary person can wear udeha. No ordinary person can wear ede. Ede is a crown. No other person can wear Ivie Gbefen. When you wear Ivie Gbefen, ceremonial for the Oba and ceremonial for the chiefs.
Ivie is the coral bead, while Ekan is agate. The agate is used to enhance the beauty of the Ivie. Aye Ekan go Ivie. Yes, Ekan can also stand on its own, just as Ivie, but Ivie.
Igbe wai agi Oba say akenariri na mi vie ayi get why, because he is the originator of the proliferation of beads. There is a bead they call Ikele, the round one, worn by chiefs, nobilities. But when the Oba bestows you with a bead, it is the Ikele. He gives it to you and gives you the honor of nobility, that you can wear it. And anytime you wear it, it's like you are a grand commander of the Federal Republic of the Empire, or that you are a justice of the peace.
A coral bead is a coral bead. A bead is a bead. It's just that now, because of manufacturing, the beads that are manufactured, we now have Italian bead, London beads, whatever bead. But the coral bead comes from the depth of the sea.
There is a saying, aye viewe vioja, egwayayo, ugiayayo, ugiayado. You don't use beads for useless things, or anyhow. You are going to the palace, you wear beads so that you can appear, good before the Oba. When you go to important occasions, you adorn yourself with coral beads so that you can have some respect and dignity. So that's the essence of beads.
It is not permitted for anyone to use the coral beads on her okuku, except, of course, by doing that, she has made herself an Oloi to the Oba. But these days, these children do not know. They adorn themselves for their wedding ceremonies and all that. It is wrong. You do it, you automatically become an Oloi.
Beads usually has advantages, no disadvantage. I've never seen anybody having a disadvantage with wearing the beads. The only time there is a disadvantage is where you use the beads wrongly. For instance, you cannot wear beads and fight. There is a punishment for that. As a chief, you cannot wear beads and go and be involved in a misconduct. And they will trace you to the Oba that this is one of his chiefs. Immediately, the Oba seizes your beads and you become irrelevant. That is the punishment. And most times in those days, when the Oba takes your beads, you have no choice than to go and commit suicide. So those are the disadvantages. The abuse of the beads is the only disadvantage. Otherwise, beads bring respect. They bring joy. For example, the Oba calls you and gives you a bead. You must go and thank your God that you have been privileged, that the Oba recognized you. It's like the president calling somebody to bestow an award on him or her, as we have it in present time. Bead was the highest honor in the land.
They have different specialized guilds with hereditary membership, and they work solely for the Oba. The Ewebo, which is headed by the Uwegwe, are in charge of the Oba's wardrobe, and they play a very key role in Ugievie, which is the Ivie festival.
This one is white bead, and I will explain why it is white. Anytime the festival of beads is on, the entire Benin, either you keep your beads at home inside your box. Let them rest for at least that period. For now, it is about 1 month. Till on the 6th of June, nobody will wear red beads because the normal beads are red. So once the beads festival is on, what we wear is the white beads. And beads are for occasions. Anytime the Oba passes on, we also wear white beads to symbolize the passage of the Oba. And once we are doing beads festival, we wear white. You are permitted to wear white to the palace, to anywhere, but not the red beads. The red beads will be a violation of the sanctity of the beads festival, which is to actually restore the royal pride and dignity of the Benin race. Ogivie is not annual, it's a special festival and is solely determined by the Oba. And the Oba is led spiritually to celebrate the beads festival. And nobody questions his authority on that. At a point when the Oba finds the need, he gives instructions that we are starting the beads festival. Saying that Ekenarina Mivie Arigewai was because it was very scarce. Since it is not much, only the Oba can use it. So if you find beads, don't run, go and give to the Oba, and the Oba will reward you.
The Oba regulates the usage of bead in the kingdom. Commoners and royalties do not wear the same bead types or shapes. If the Oba sends a bead to a man, automatically he has been made a chief, while a coral bead sent by the king or prince to a young single girl makes her his betrothed, and she is bounded by tradition to accept them. The Oba sent coral bead to excommunicate or suspend a chief in the kingdom. When the Oba pronounces a ban on a certain citizen, he forbids them from using their royal beads. This precious ornament are not just ordinary accessories to the Benin kingdom, but a symbol of great significance.
Edo ni mo se. Edo ni mo se.